Hey guys, part of setting up a handgun for serious use like home defense or a bug-out pistol is attaching some sort of illuminator to it or having some sort of solution to illuminating your potential targets. And while I like Tack lights like this Surefire X300 Ultra, it presents an interesting problem for shooters like myself who like to run sound suppressors, especially those that are eccentric, literally, like this Osprey 45. You'll notice, I lock it open, there's no way to attach this that won't actually limit its ability to function as a semi-automatic weapon because the Tack light will strike the bottom of this and decelerate it or just jam it up entirely. Now the problem with the smaller ones normally is they have very limited battery time or they're not terribly bright. Thankfully, one of my favorite light makers out there, Streamlight, has come out with two new products that kind of answer this question, the TLR7 and the TLR8. But it raises an important question. Which one's better suited for you? Well, it depends. So this is the TLR7 I've got mounted on a Glock 19X. You can see it's a small, relatively lightweight Tack light, and it doesn't go past the muzzle at all. It's very, very nice compact. This one's, I believe, is 500 lumens, has a run time about an hour and a half. Not amazing, but not terrible considering how small it is. The other light is called the TLR8. And as you can see here on this TLR8, like I was saying, it doesn't impede anything, even with a large, oversized 45 caliber sound suppressor like this Osprey 45 provided by Silencer Shop. Now the difference between the two Tack lights is that the TLR8 also includes a laser. And this laser sight is adjustable for windage and elevation, and its runtime is still an hour and a half when the light and laser are on together. But if a shooter just wants to run the laser by itself, it has a runtime of 18 hours, which is pretty substantial. But you have to ask yourself, do I really need a Tack laser? And the answer really depends on your personal situation. Now for me, I wasn't a big fan of Tack lasers for the longest time because I never saw the real reason behind them. A lot of people would say, oh, but there's times you don't have the opportunity to use your iron sights and need to quickly acquire a target. Well, with a handgun and the target being as close as they normally are, you can point shoot just as well as you can use a laser, I thought. At least this was my prevailing theory until I had a chance to shoot under duress at the Crimson Trace Midnight 3 gun about 5 years ago. And we used their Crimson Trace lasers on everything. And what I found was when shooting around cover, when trying to engage targets in very low lighting, or more importantly, engaging targets in low lighting while moving, the laser was an incredibly effective tool. I mean, some of the scenarios they had up were a little unrealistic, like they had us behind a mesh barrier, we had to kind of aim around. In those kind of scenarios where you either lose the use of one of your hands or you're losing strength and you can't summon the strength to get the sights on target. But another use I found for a laser was that it's a really, really good teaching tool for new shooters trying to figure out what they're doing wrong. So when you're aiming down sight of the target and you pull the trigger and you can't figure out, oh, what's happening to my shots? I can't see where they're going. With the laser on, you'll physically see the laser dip down, dip left, dip right, whatever the shooter's doing incorrectly. And that provides them with an instantaneous visual feedback as to what they're doing wrong. Now the price difference between the two is not substantial. This is a TLR8, it retails for $315. This is the TLR7, it doesn't have the laser of the TLR8, retails for $250. So it's a difference of 65 bucks. Not huge, and if you want the increased functionality of a laser, you're gonna be well served. But let's see how these both hold up downrange, and we'll see if it actually plays well with my Osprey 45. Admittedly, I'm feeling like kind of like a badass now, holding two Glock 19s. It's a little bit practical self-defense scenario, kind of John Woo-ish, but seriously. So we're gonna take a closer look first at the TLR7. So I'll put the 8 down for a second. We have the 7, and there's a magazine full of 115 grain 9mm full metal jacket provided by Federal Ammunition. And yeah, so we'll just get an idea of if it changes the balance of the weapon. But for the most part, the gun's gonna run exactly as it normally does. We're just gonna make sure that the light doesn't turn off during use, right? So I'm gonna put it on even though it's in the middle of the day, and we'll engage some of these targets. The one on the left is from Shoot Steel, and the plate rack is from MGM Targets. All right, let's take some shots at that human-sized guy first. Pretty easy target. See if we hit those plates. Shooting a little low. Yeah, it runs great so far. Light seems to be working. The mount held up fine. Now both the Streamlight TLR7 and TLR8 ship with a little mounting plate inside here that you replace by removing this little tightening screw. And it has 3 different plates, one for the Glock, we're seeing here, it's marked GL, another one that's for mil-spec Picatinny rails, and a third option for the oddball Beretta 90/TWO. So it's pretty cool, you get plenty of options. Now let's try this out with the TLR8. Let's try it out with this Osprey 45 mounted, provided by Silencer Shop. And like I was saying before, most tack lights will actually impede the slide's progress because the barrel, when it unlocks, will travel a short distance rearward. Not normally an issue, except if you've got a tack light that protrudes out a few inches, it'll hit on eccentric suppressors like this Osprey, it'll hit the back of it and prevent the gun from fully unlocking. So you'll have either the gun won't fully go into battery, won't fully travel rearward, or it'll just, plain old just not work. So let's see how it works here, and then we'll test out the laser soon thereafter. So I'll turn it on initially with just the laser. It's kind of hard to see in broad daylight. I will reset these targets real quick. There we go. Now with the targets reset, let's see how this guy runs. The first target, looks like the laser's more or less dead center. It's a little bit off to the left. Hits fine. And I'm using the iron sight still, but let's just use the lasers. I'm gonna keep it just a little low. Awesome, dead on. Let's hit this guy a few more times. So I can see in certain circumstances where this could be pretty helpful to have a laser, kind of discreetly Han Solo style hit it, just keep it here tucked in and yeah, it hits no problem. It's interesting when you hold your grip as tight as possible, you actually get a pretty solid idea of what you're doing with your trigger follow through or if you're not following through all the way. So you see me, you'll watch my laser sight kind of go off target when the round touches off. And let's see, where am I, up or down? Oh, I'm totally off to the right then. I've in fact managed to lose the sight. Now in broad daylight, laser sights are very difficult to find because for the most part, they're not designed to show up, especially on a unit this small, in broad daylight on white targets. So, let's see if I can get that guy back on target. Get a cheat and put it at the ground first. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So yeah, I mean, it's not a gimmick, right? Some people say it's a gimmick, but I think the more you shoot, and in terms of self-defense, the more you can stack the odds in your favor, the better. I mean, if somebody figured out a way that it could cut the recoil by 90%, but it made the gun bright pink and glow in the dark, I don't care. I'll get the pinkest, glowingest, stupidest looking handgun on the planet if it can ensure that I can get rounds effectively and accurately on target as quickly as possible. Because ultimately, it's not a game. As much as we like to dress our guns up and make them look badass or whatever, ultimately, it's a game that plays for total keep. So you want to make sure that it runs 100% and get every advantage humanly possible. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more burst reviews. And of course, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/burstreview. And last but not least, don't forget to check out my new video series on TFB TV. Thanks, guys.